Warm greetings from the high 10. It's everyday shenanigans. Thank you for joining me. Happy Saturday to everybody. Please have a safe weekend. Go Vols. Today we're playing Kentucky. Praying for a win. We have been successful the past couple of games, and we're doing very, very well. So praying that the Vols win. I'm going to bring you a disturbing, bizarre story out of California. I had to play this video, I know, about 5 times just so I could understand what the hell they were saying in the story. Naturally, I had to go find articles because the information didn't make any sense. And even reading it, it didn't make any sense. But I found one that was very descriptive in breaking down the story. Thank you so much for joining me. ABC7 is the source.
A man is in custody accused of stabbing 2 people to death yesterday in the parking lot of a Palmdale shopping center. LA County Sheriff's detectives say that the suspect asked one of the victims for car help before a fight broke out between them, and they say that led to the 2 stabbings. And now some people are upset after they say authorities forgot to clean up the bloody crime scene. Eyewitness News reporter Tim Pulliam is live in the newsroom with more. Tim?
Ellen, the victim's loved ones are devastated. We talked to the woman's boyfriend. He's heartbroken. They had been dating for 8 months.
My heart didn't want it to be true.
Yeah, same.
But in my mind, the truth was that she was killed. She is gone now.
Just in cold blood, just senseless.
Tonight, Jesse Mercado fighting back tears after the murder of his girlfriend, McKenna Evans, and her father, Ken. Yesterday, the 2 were found stabbed outside their vehicles near Kohl's and Joann department store in Palmdale. Our camera capturing the murder suspect taken into custody.
When he was in handcuffs, he smirked. He had a smirk on his face. How dare he? I hope he never gets out of prison.
Elizabeth Evans lost her husband and daughter when the suspect went on this stabbing rampage. She says Ken Evans was in the parking lot working on his car before the attack. They don't know why the suspect stabbed them to death. Tonight, they want you to know the victims were human beings with goals. McKenna studying to be an esthetician. She was 22.
All I want from this is just one more time. Just one more time. Can I just hold her one more time? And say my goodbyes, and that's it. Tell her I love her, and I will always love her.
New tonight, detectives say the suspect and the victims appeared to live in their vehicles, and the suspect asked the male victim for help with his car. Then there was an argument, turning violent. As detectives continue to search for a motive, customers today, like Bonnie Haberstick, are stunned by the leftover crime scene.
It's all the bandages, and they're all bloody, and gloves and gauze. I mean, who does that? Everything was left.
Brian Mim, a retired detective who owns an independent crime scene cleaning company, also thought this was strange.
It's always best to clean the scene because you do have protected biohazards. You don't want somebody to walk in there, be stepping into it, walking through it.
Today, we asked the sheriff's office about this. A spokesperson says cleaning protocols are being followed. And when they heard about this, a cleaning company and the fire department returned to remove the crime debris. The murder weapon still has not been found. The suspect remains in custody. So far, detectives have not released his name. He's expected to face murder charges. In the newsroom, Tim Pulliam, ABC7 Eyewitness News. Hello, I'm Mark.
All right, everybody. ABC7 is the source for this information. Very bizarre story coming out of California. I believe this Palmdale is outside of Los Angeles, California, for those of you who are familiar with the general area. I'm going to bring you more detailed information pertaining to what happened in that parking lot. Thank you for joining me. News 4 NBC is the source. A father and daughter were killed in the parking lot of a Kohl's department store in Palmdale on Thursday afternoon. And with a man in custody, investigators are now trying to determine what led up to the crime. Detectives were in Kohl's parking lot for over 12 hours on Thursday, canvassing the area and processing the scene as they searched for evidence. Callers reached out to the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department just after noon to report multiple people stabbed in the 39800 block of 10th Street West. The 2 victims were a man in his 60s, and a woman in her 20s, according to the LA County coroner. They were later identified as 22-year-old McKenna Evans and her father, Kenneth Evans. Everybody's devastated, and the thought that her dad also died, it's so tragic. Everything is so tragic, Elizabeth Evans, the victim's wife and mother, said. The LA County Sheriff's Department says the alleged attacker appeared to be living in his car at the shopping center. Kenneth, this is the victim, was also living there, and McKenna, the daughter, was visiting him when investigators say the man asked them for help with his car. That's when a fight broke out and the man began to attack them in front of Kohl's. Kenneth died at the hospital. McKenna died at the scene. Next week, she was taking her state board exam to have her license as an esthetician. She was a makeup artist. She loved tattoos and she loved Jesse, the mother said. When I got here, I checked the first spot they were in. They weren't there. And I checked over here and their car was covered in police tape, Jesse Mercado, McKenna's boyfriend, said. McKenna's boyfriend, Jesse, said they had been living together and he had plans to propose next year. He says McKenna came to visit her dad, who he says was planning to move away soon. I tried to keep my cool, but the moment they were telling me that, people were telling me, stop, don't go. I ran toward those two cars to see if she was okay. If I could just hold her one more time or anything, I just needed to see her, Mercado said. One witness told NBC4 that she and her two young children had just left a store nearby when they watched a man brutally attack the young woman in the parking lot. She did not want to be identified. I see a lady running and a guy just stabbing her from behind, from the side of her stomach, she said. He got towards her chest and then he dropped her. He walks away like going towards his vehicle, comes back running, stabs her a couple more times in the stomach, and she falls to the ground. Then he kicks her, walks away, comes back, pulls her hair, and drags her, she said. The man was detained at the scene of the stabbing. By 11 a.m. on Friday, he had been officially arrested. Detectives from the LASD also said the stabbing took place after an argument between the three people. Investigators learned all parties involved were parked in the parking lot of the location and appeared to live in their vehicles, the LASD said in a statement. The suspect had asked the male adult victim for assistance regarding his vehicle, during which an argument ensued. The argument led to a physical fight and ultimately the stabbing of both victims. It is not yet clear whether the three individuals knew each other before the stabbing took place. News 4 is the source of that information. I will now bring you ABC 7 to add extra commentary to that said story. My heart didn't want it to be true, said Jesse Mercado, who had been dating McKenna for 8 months. But in my mind, the truth was that she was killed. She is gone now. Elizabeth Evans, McKenna's mother and Ken's wife, said her husband was in the parking lot working on his car before the attack. She said she doesn't know why the suspect stabbed him to death. When he was in handcuffs, he smirked, she said. He had a smirk on his face. How dare he? I hope he never gets out of prison. Both Mercado and the grieving mother want people to know their loved ones were real people with goals. And as I told you all before, she was studying, McKenna, the daughter, 22 years of age, studying to be an esthetician. All I want from this is just one more time. Just one more time. Can I just hold her one more time and say my goodbyes? And that's it. Tell her I love her. I'll always love her, said Mercado. Detectives say the suspect and the victims appeared to have been living in their vehicles. As they continue to search for a motive, customers like Bonnie Habersick tell Eyewitness News they're stunned by the leftover crime scene. It's all the bandages and all bloody gloves, gauze. I mean, who does that? Everything was left, she said. And you heard her say that in this news commentary I played earlier. Ben Mean, a retired detective who owns independent crime scene cleaning company, also thought this was strange. It's always best to clean the scene because you do have to protect from biohazards, he said. You don't want someone to walk in there and be stepping into and walking through it. ABC asked the sheriff's department about this, and a spokesperson said cleaning protocols are being followed. Eyewitness News was on the scene when a cleaning company and fire department officials returned to remove the debris, as you also heard in the video I played. Investigators have not yet found the murder weapon. The suspect is expected to face murder charges. ABC 7 is the source. Thank you all so much for joining me. I hope this will be my last live for today, as so I can enjoy my Saturday. Let me be brief in this commentary because this is a short live. We have two separate men living in their cars. They're parked side by side. The suspect, who appears to be a Hispanic male from what I saw in the video, asked the older man, who was white, for help with his car. McKenna, the daughter, was visiting the elderly 60-year-old man, who is white. So obviously she went there to see her father. I don't know how she got there. Did she drive, walk, rode a bus, got dropped off by the boyfriend? I don't really know. I just know there's two cars on the scene. An older car, maybe perhaps belongs to the father. Can't really say who owned which. The hood was up on that car. So maybe the guy needed a jump. I don't even have his age. The point is, what happened? Who said what to whom for an argument to ensue for the suspect to bring out a weapon? Why are you stabbing this man? Did he say something out of the way? Did he mess up something trying to fix your car? What happened? Was it an issue of him trying to make a pass at the young lady? Nice looking young girl. Did the male suspect get too frisky? Say something out of the way to the daughter? The father got offended? What happened? What was said? This is bizarre because these two men were homeless. And as you heard this boyfriend say, the father was supposed to be moving away. Well, where was he going? Where was he moving to? Doesn't matter. Don't matter now. But anyway, just asking questions. Two separate men, both homeless, each living in their car. The older man, who is now deceased, his daughter was visiting at the time. So they're all standing in this parking lot in front of Kohl's. Allegedly, older man is helping the younger one with his car. When you watch the video, you will see the hood of an older car being open with the hood up. What happened? One second. What happened? Okay. What exactly happened in that parking lot? Because I was baffled and confused and dazed when I saw it in the queue, opened up the video. I didn't even understand what they were saying. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older. I'm not understanding content. But the wording was strange because it sounded weird when the newscaster was reading the information. Hold on a minute. Hold on 1 second, you guys. Okay. Trying to multitask and do so much today before the game comes on. This is a bizarre story. Two separate men, each homeless, living in their car. Don't know their circumstances for them to be homeless. But what was baffling is to know that the older guy was married, and standing in the parking lot is the boyfriend of the deceased daughter, and he's holding the mother of the deceased daughter, hugging her and crying. So I'm wondering, why is her husband sleeping in a car? Yes, each person was sleeping in a car, homeless. The dead father had a car and the suspect had a car. The girlfriend lived with the boyfriend, before you even go there and ask, because he makes that clear in the article. They were living together for about 8 months or something like that, and he planned on proposing to her next year. She was getting ready to start school next week. So now we have a 22-year-old gone, boyfriend grieving, mother grieving, elderly father dead, and a suspect in custody. Don't know his name, don't know his age, but he did appear to be Hispanic looking. If not, I'll correct that in the video. What happened in that parking lot? Because what's jacked up are two people sleeping in their own cars, a daughter visiting the father. Did this guy decide to bother them because the girl showed up? Is this an issue of jealousy? The guy was mad because the man had a young girl visiting him. Did he know the guy? Did he know that was his daughter? So you have to ask all those questions. What was the relationship between the two men? Because if they've got their cars parked by each other and they both appear to be homeless, 9 times out of 10 they were living in that parking lot a while. They knew of each other. Maybe they drank together, became drinking buddies. Did they get high together? So you have to ask all those questions. Did one of them owe the other one money? I don't know. This is so ridiculous, because now we have 2 dead people, a father and his adult daughter. And then the crazy part is daddy was married. So where did the mother live? Why are they married and he's sleeping in his car? I'm done. Very, very odd story, because as soon as I saw the mother hugging the boyfriend, he's hugging her, crying. I'm looking like, okay, well, wait a minute. She's married to the dead man. Was she also homeless, sleeping in the car? So then I wondered if the daughter was homeless, sleeping in the car. But then the boyfriend says, no, she lived with me. Oh, I'm drowning. Oh, mercy. Jesus. Oh, so the dad and the suspect didn't know each other. We don't know. We do not know. Well, my thing is this. We're not going to know anything until they start investigating. We get the gist of how long they were homeless, how long they were living in their cars, how long the cars were parked there, who can ID that the cars were there for a while. We can't get anything from the daughter because naturally she would probably know more, but she's dead. So now we got to go see who the father knows, friends with, who did he ever call on the phone? Did he have a phone? That's what's going to tell the story. Surveillance cameras from Kohl's will show how long the cars were parked there. Did they drive around often in the parking lot? Leave the parking lot? Did other cars come and park beside them? When the cars started parking there? So surveillance will give us more of a timeline of how these people ventured to Kohl's parking lot. Because naturally, they're parked all the way at the end of the parking lot, probably near some trees, as to be out of the way of customers and traffic. But the witness, why would she want to be named? She's a mother. She has children. I wouldn't want to be named either. You don't know these people. She don't know these people. She lives in the area. You don't know who the suspect knows. I think for common sense reasons why she wouldn't want to be named. She has a family to protect. See, everybody's not the same. They want to tell the world who they are and air their business and go on lives. Let's keep it real. Well, that was the right thing to do, was talk to the cops to say, hey, I saw that guy stab her. Because in the end, she's going to be the one that has to go to trial to say she saw him stab that girl. And eventually her name will come out to the public when she goes to court. Because I'm sure they will ask her, the district attorney, to testify. Because I don't know if the camera stretched that far out to see what was going on way back there in that parking lot. I don't know. But nonetheless, think about the trauma of that woman witnessing that, and her children were with her. We don't know the ages of the children, but imagine children coming out the store and they're standing there watching a woman run for her life and be stabbed to death in a shopping center parking lot in broad daylight. It is morning time in California when this crime took place. And it's no telling who else saw the stabbing, getting in and out of their car, parking, riding around looking for a parking place. This is devastating. Devastating to the boyfriend, the mother, their family members, people shopping at the shopping center, people walking by, looking, lurking. And for the police department and forensic teams, you know better than to leave that stuff in that parking lot. Now, come on now. Let the queen scold you. You know that was inappropriate to leave the gauze and the gloves behind. You went to the scene to aid these people. Unfortunately, McKenna died. You should have picked up that stuff. Why are you leaving that there? But the fire department came, cleaned up. They hosed down the parking lot. Prayers to this family. 22 years old. It's very young to leave the world, especially brutally. And as you heard the witness say, he came back and stabbed her again, grabbed her hair and drug her. So what's the victim saying something while lying on the ground? Was she still talking, saying something derogatory, cursing him out? He got angry, or he's just vengeful, wanted to make sure he gets her dead. What the hell happened in that parking lot? Who said something first? What was said? Was he just bothering the man because he saw a nice looking young lady over at the car? Did they have a relationship before? Did he know the young lady? Had the old man talked about his daughter to him? We don't know. But nonetheless, a lady is dead. Her father is dead. A mother is left to grieve her husband and her child. I can't imagine what the mother is going through. She's now grieving her husband. Why they weren't living together, I don't know. They didn't say that the mother was living in the car, but now somebody's got to bury two people. So that's another task. Will she even have money to bury two people? It costs to bury people. So the story is tragic in so many ways, besides just a brutal stabbing, double stabbing. Two people have to be buried now. Somebody's got to pay to put these people in the ground. And this guy probably didn't have anything going for himself, miserable. Maybe he was mentally ill, schizophrenic, bipolar, some type of mental disorder, dissociative disorder. I don't know. But to just start stabbing two people, you have to ask yourself, was he mentally ill, or did he say something out of the way to them? Words ensued, or they said something out of the way to him. He didn't like what was said, and he just went ham. But to stab two people, and then he stabbed a woman. What could she have done or said for you to stab her? Because I almost have this weird notion in my head that maybe he made a pass at the young lady. Because you got to remember, she's younger. And that guy who did the stabbing, he was younger. Maybe not necessarily her age. Might be a little older. Can't really say because it was a side view where I saw his picture. But nonetheless, maybe he saw her. She was attractive looking to him. He made a out-of-the-way statement. Daddy got offended, said something to him, and then he pulled a knife out and started stabbing him. Maybe the daughter jumped in to try to intervene. She got stabbed. So he just went on and started stabbing her too. I don't know. But this is crazy, this story. Because here it is, sunny California. Beautiful day in the neighborhood. People out going about their day, having lunch, shopping. Mother coming out of the store with her children, shopping at the mall. And what do you see coming out of Kohl's or wherever she was coming out of? A woman running for her life being stabbed by a man repeatedly. Stops, takes her to the ground, walks off, comes back, stab her again, to the stomach, mind you. He was making sure to get her gone. Drags her, what, by her hair? Who does all this? So this is why I said to you earlier in my live pertaining to Miss McCarter, I said to you, I'm not getting ready to go out here and put myself in harm's way to appease strangers. I can walk out my door, get hit by a fire truck or hurt or stabbed or shot right here in Tennessee. And this is a prime example of that. A daughter visiting her father in a parking lot. I would assume she was minding her business in that parking lot. I do not know. But the point is, she died there. And the father later died at the hospital. 9 times out of 10 over some nonsense. And I don't think they had to travel out of their area to get stabbed. That's my point. That's why you don't go looking for trouble out of town. Because you can get trouble right in the town where you live in. And that's what some people don't understand. You don't go look for trouble. Trouble can find you where you sleep, where you stay, going to work, getting out from work, going to get coffee, walking out your house, your apartment building. You can die right where you pay your bills. And that's the gist of the story. You don't ever know when the devil's going to come knock at your door. The enemy is real. He uses people and they are willing to work for the devil for free. And as the old black folks saying goes, while you're working for the devil, he don't pay you nothing. But some don't mind. And on this fateful Thursday morning, the devil had a willing participant who was willing to work for free. And he stabbed 2 people to death. And it happened to be a father and a daughter. This is tragic. That's why I said when you're out here, you have to be careful of your surroundings. You have to be careful of the company you keep. You have to be careful what you say to people, how you talk to people, because everybody's not receptive of the information or the response. What seems petty to you is not petty to somebody else. Words hurt, actions hurt. And then you have some people who are just not well equipped to maintain. And I got a feeling this guy is one of those people. He was already gone before he crossed the paths of this father and daughter. He was already disturbed. And it didn't take much for him to pop off. And I won't doubt that he's done this type of behavior with somebody else before. He possibly has a criminal record, assaults somewhere else. And what's more dangerous is if indeed he has committed crimes elsewhere, been to prison, jail, he's roaming the earth homeless. And those are the most dangerous people, are those who don't have a solid address where they can be located. That is why you have a lot of crimes that are not solved. It's because the suspects roam around. So when you have vagabonds and drifters roaming towns, cities, you can't apprehend them, because if they're already vagrant and running different places, sleeping different places, they commit a crime in Palmdale, flee. Next thing you know, he's up in some other part of California, Northern California, Arizona, Utah, somewhere. Now he's gone. You don't even know where to look because he doesn't have a solid address. God forbid nobody can give a solid ID on the person. You don't have a name. As you see here, we don't even have a name, and it's now Saturday. Why don't we have a name? Why don't we have an age? Because, not to be disrespectful, he might be an illegal citizen. Possibly not from the United States. Might be from Mexico, Guatemala, somewhere. That's why I believe they don't even have a name. So naturally, they have probably ran his prints. They don't come back to nothing. So now how bad is this? Let's say he's a legal citizen, been living here in America, God knows how long, don't know his real name, birthday, not a citizen to know anything, not a legal citizen, American, and he's just been wandering around the earth here in America, as what I just said. Commits a crime, runs off, you don't even know who you're looking for. That's one reason why a lot of people want our borders to be safe. And it's not to get political, but just keeping it real. We have to be able to keep track of the people walking around in our towns, in our cities, in our communities, because if they hurt and harm somebody, we need to be able to identify them, whether they have a criminal record or not. You need to know who they are. And I think that's the reason why they don't have a name, because he's not legal. And God forbid, he speaks a little bit of English or pretends he doesn't know English. You're messed up. Now you just got somebody in the jail playing crazy, playing dumb, and can't speak no English or pretends he can. See, you don't know. And if he's been in trouble before, he knows the system. And he will definitely play the card of, hable no inglés. And 2 people are dead. That ain't going to be good enough for the mother, who's got to now try to find a way to bury a husband and a child. And then wait to go to court and deal with this saga 2 times. That's a lot for a person to have to deal with. That old lady probably will be broke down by the time all of these go to court 2 times. She will be distraught. So we will pray for her on her journey, because this is going to be a long journey for her. Burying 2 people, grieving 2 people, and then having to go to court in a couple of years 2 times. Unless he decides to take a plea. But I brought you this information because it was an interesting story. It's very bizarre to me. As I said, I had to watch the video a couple of times because it didn't make any sense to me. And I was listening to the newscaster and I was like, what is he saying? They were in their cars, both living in their cars. Like, what are you saying? So my mind started running. And then when I found out the daughter was stabbed, I thought, well, dear God, was she living in the car with her father? Oh, Lord. Boyfriend said she was living with him. Also, the victim was married, the older white male. I don't know where the mother lived. That was not mentioned in the news commentary or the articles I brought to you. Oh, Lord. Yeah, it's in the YouTube queue. Please go to my community board because I have the news video on my community board. And I also read 2 articles to bring you more information pertaining to the story. The first article has more details. It explains it better than the other source. Because when you hear it on the news, it might throw you off. That's why you have to be very careful in listening to information. Because a lot of times I listen to stuff, I don't comprehend it well. So I had to go find an article before going live because I wanted to make sure I repeat everything. And then, too, the articles usually give you more information and also give you an update versus what the first broadcast will reveal. So he's in custody, does not have a name, and an age has not been revealed. And also, before I get off this live, which is now not short at all, sorry. They cannot find a weapon. Why not? You said you arrested him on the scene. So that means somebody called 911 because they were witnessing this crime in the parking lot. How is it you don't have a weapon? Now that, to me, is more bizarre than the two stabbings itself. Yes, no weapon was found. I read you the information where they said they were canvassing the area for evidence and no weapon has been retrieved in this double stabbing. So what did he do with the knife? Because I'm assuming it was a knife. Very bizarre. So that means he took the knife and put it somewhere while after he stabbed these people. He had time to go hide the knife somewhere. Where? Where could you hide it? Because the parking lot is open. It's somewhere, yes, it's somewhere there. Either this is a sloppy police department, and I'm starting to believe that they're just sloppy. Because these are the same people that left behind the gloves and the gauze from the bloody scene and didn't even take that stuff with them. You just left it there so the mall owners would have to find a cleaning personnel to come clean that stuff up. So you were disrespectful when you did that. And now you all are the same people who also processed the scene. So you processed the scene. You had officers there, detectives there, forensic there. So that means you're the same ones that left the gauze, the bloody gloves, and you're also the same ones investigating. That means somebody went to work and just didn't want to go to the scene and do a good job. Because I don't understand how you can't find the weapon. It's a mall parking lot, which means you have dirt, trees, and asphalt. So what do you want us to believe? He ran up through the parking lot bloody and threw the knife under somebody's car. That is the only explanation I could come up with. Because he didn't have anywhere to hide the knife but in his car, in the victim's car, or inside of the engine of the cars. And that's still a lot to be doing after running around stabbing two people. So we also have to ask, how soon did investigators get to the scene after he stabbed the daughter? What's the timeline? How long did it take place to stab both victims? 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 7 minutes, 6 minutes? Very bizarre story. Well, how would you have time to bury it? Because I would think all this would be unfolding in just a matter of minutes. They argued. He pulls out the knife, starts stabbing the guy. Maybe the daughter jumped in. He starts stabbing her. Or maybe she stood crying, hollering. He went over to her and stabbed her. So we don't even know what the sequence is. Or did he start stabbing the daughter first? Who's to say? He started stabbing her first. Then the father jumped in. I don't know. But this is a baffling story. I'm praying that somebody watched this. And I pray that you are somebody that also called 911 that can give us a timeline of who said what to whom, who got the first blow. Because if there are no witnesses, then all this is going to have to be in the order that they laid down. And naturally, if you have seasoned detectives, they can put together who got stabbed first. Because you're going to naturally have defensive wounds because you're going to try to ward off your attacker. So they're going to try to piece together, I guess, who got stabbed first. If the perpetrator if he decides not to tell what happened. This is sad to me. This is very sad to me. Well, we hope it's on the camera because they were parked way in the back of the parking lot. So you got to pray that the cameras, you have cameras that actually face that direction and can focus on the people involved in the story. Well, that's the thing. We don't know anything. I'm assuming he's Hispanic because he looked Hispanic, the guy in the picture who was in handcuffs. So I'm assuming he could speak Spanish. I don't know if he knows English. He'd have to know some English in order to ask this couple, the man, to help him work on his car, unless the elderly white man knows Spanish. Nonetheless, pray for the family. Please pray for this woman. She's now lost her husband and her daughter. And that's right now she needs our prayers because she's in a bad way right now. I feel very terrible for this elderly lady who now has to bury two people, and prayers that they get justice because I don't know how this story is going to unfold. It'll probably be years down the road before we get him to trial, and also a motive because at the time that I read this article, both articles, a motive had not been established. Thank you for following the content. If you see something, say something. Be a part of the solution and not the problem. Mind the children. And yes, mind the adults too. Always know that you can make a call anonymously. You don't have to give your name, your location. If you see a crime, eyewitness to a crime, child or somebody being abused, just do the right thing. And if you'd like to donate to this great network, $BigAngie129 Cash App. Thank you all so much for your support. I do not plan to return today, so I hope there is no shenanigans today. If it is, oh well. Happy Saturday to everybody. Have a wonderful day. It's game day in America. Please enjoy your Saturday. Be safe. And please be aware of your surroundings while you are out. This is Everyday Shenanigans.